This is Phyllis Jones, and today is Wednesday, February 3rd at roughly 6:42 p.m. And I would like to call the North Andover Commission on Ability Assistance to order. Since this is all audio, I'd like to take a audio roll call. I'm going to call you off if you can please state your presence here. I'm just going to go based upon who I see on my screen. Linda Byers.
Here.
Jeff French.
Here.
Stacy Leibowitz.
Here.
Okay, by that we have a quorum, and I call this meeting to order. Okay, so first on today's agenda we have, is there any updates, Stacy, on the Committee on Diversity and Inclusion?
Nope. Have not heard anything since the beginning, really, of January about another meeting. I think what I'm going to do is reach out and see what's happening. But I think I'm making a total assumption here that they kind of need to get their act together around some of the items on their agenda. I mean, they had some good ideas around the committees that they wanted to launch, but they were, I think, getting a little bogged down in the discussion, the storytelling piece. So I haven't heard anything yet. I haven't gotten any meeting invites. So what I'll do, I was thinking about it earlier this week, I will reach out and see, if anything is coming up. So that's, unfortunately, we don't have much else to go with at this point.
Well, if I remember from our last meeting, you had mentioned that it was a lot of disorganization going on to begin with. So it seems as though it's following suit.
Yeah, and it was specifically around that storytelling. I think it really bogged the meeting down, unfortunately. And it, to your point from the last meeting that we had, it really, I get what they're trying to do, but it's not part and parcel of really what they're supposed to be doing for the town. Now, if you're talking about the committee structures and breaking that down, like there's a public health committee that they're thinking of doing, that's what I would be interested in participating on because of the disability piece. They were looking at other components, like with the public health, food insecurity, a data committee to deal with, tabulating data of what's going on in the community, things like that would be really relevant. And again, I understand the storytelling, but it opened up a can of worms the way it went. You didn't have a facilitator who was really trained to do that, but it really wasn't the crux of what should be going on from, it took up way too much time. It was like an hour's worth of the meeting that last time to go through all of that because somebody was offended and, everybody has their own view. I get that this person was telling their point of view and using the language to illustrate it, but maybe he could have done it differently. And, the person on the other end who was offended didn't want to come back to the meeting. And that took up a lot of time. It became a much, I get it from both sides, but at the same time, is that really what is the charter? Right. What are we supposed to be doing? So that's really, in my opinion, maybe where things are getting bogged down. And I also don't know if there's scheduling issues or what have you. So, because obviously with COVID and everything, maybe people are kind of getting sidetracked too. So I don't want to draw too many assumptions around it, but it was a little unorganized from where I could, where I was in watching this. And so I will reach out and see, what they're planning on doing, and I'll report out at the next meeting.
Okay. And as
it seems that
before, it's going to be just a static bullet point for you to be able to talk each time.
Yeah, I hope it goes somewhere. I think, there's potential there if it works out right, because I think there's a lot we can do to help the community that way, but, we'll see where it goes. And
Jeff, I'm sorry, we cut you off.
That's all right. It just seems that progress is very slow with that particular committee. I don't know.
Yeah.
They probably said that about us in the beginning too.
And you know what, that's quite possible. And also a lot of it is people go on committees. We all know this. People go on committees with the best of intentions. And then life happens and throws you a curveball. And let's be honest, there's a difference between the work you do within the four walls of your meeting and the way you bond with people outside of the four walls of that meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've done both as a committee. We've done very well to do both as a unified group. And that's easy to do when there's just a handful of people. Stacy, how many people are on that thing?
Oh my goodness. I'm gonna say about 15 to 20 approximately. It was a pretty good sized group.
They'd probably do well to do like multiple breakout rooms, you know, so that people can just get to know each other on off times via Zoom meetings or what have you.
And and I think too, with, if they're able to break into the committees, because everybody has a strength to bring into it, and you want to put people where, their strengths are.
Yeah,
So, like, for example, they want to have this data kind of committee. You need people. There was somebody who's really computer savvy, who's really involved in that area. It makes sense for him to head up and be part of that committee. So,
most definitely.
we have somebody who, and I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she is connected with the school system in North Andover, and addressing diversity there. She's somebody, because I think they were looking at, if I remember correctly, an education committee. So there were a lot of good things that people could be kind of dispersed or assigned to, depending on how it plays out. Obviously, I think they want to play to people's interests and strengths, but obviously we don't want one committee to be top heavy over another committee. So
Correct.
there's that balance, but we haven't even gotten to that point yet. And to me, that's where the interest really lies. Like I said, I think they kind of got bogged down in the other stuff.
In the less bonding type of thing.
Yeah, and I don't want to be judgmental. I get where they're coming from, but at the same time, with a group that large, it may be really challenging to do that. We're a smaller entity in this group, and of course,
Exactly.
it would be great to add a few other people, if it makes sense, but it has to be a good balance. A group can get too big and too, unwieldy, and it's hard to control the situation. And I think in that instance, I mean, for the most part, people were very respectful, but then it became, when this one person was offended by the story the other person told, it became a whole thing where people were chiming in, well, I agree with this person's side, and granted,
it created a situation it could have done
it
without.
wasn't moderated well, and I think it just didn't lend itself appropriately to what I think needed to be done. And it's a hard thing to do something like that on Zoom. The whole thing, like the last meeting, was about 2 hours, which was I'm just going to say personally, very stressful to
Yep.
be on that at night and have to deal with that kind of dynamic. I think was very tough. And it just wasn't very productive. So I think if you're going to do something like that, like you said, there have to be breakout rooms. There has to be somebody facilitating it if it's really something that people think is relevant to the conversation. But I think what we have to think about,
and
what are we
maybe,
doing
yeah,
now?
that might be why it hasn't gone anywhere yet.
Yeah.
They might be looking for that
Maybe.
person to be able to facilitate it appropriately.
It just would be good to get an update. So I can, like I said, I'll reach out, because it would be nice to know where we stand at this point.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So
Okay, Linda, school
Yep.
department, CPAC.
I did reach out to Courtney. I sent an email, but I have not heard back.
Okay. I posted on the commission's Facebook page earlier today because I happened to see it pop. I think it's on the 9th of February. They're putting on some special presentation. That again, I shared to our page. Let me see if
Okay.
I can find it real quickly just to. Just to see what it was. Social and emotional learning workshop, an online event. The CPAC is putting it on. It's on Tuesday, February 9th at 7 p.m.
Okay.
So I shared that to the commission's page. So as always, share away, let people know.
Okay.
North Andover Historical Society. They have put together their packet, to the best of my knowledge, to get what they need to do to get what they were asking to be able to be grandfathered in and receive the ability to not have to worry about the most recent ADA compliances based upon the building structure. They were also constantly keeping me in the loop about this was what was going on with the elevator. And as we discussed, what I basically told them was, all of a sudden I'm getting my own back noise. What I basically told them was what we discussed, which was basically, you know, yes, we're happy to be a resource for you, but we don't need to be part, you know, we don't have the ability to do it every step of the way with you. If you need a resource, if you need a second set of eyes or ears and you want somebody to help look at it, we're more than happy to do that, but we can't work it with you. And they seemed understanding, but I think they were hoping for something more.
Well, Phyllis, you had asked me or sent me a notice on a blog meeting by the New England ADA regarding architecture.
Yes.
And I did attend that virtually. And one of the things that I came away with was, regardless of the cost, the regulations need to be complied with.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the North Andover group's big complaint, or their reason for going for this, was because it was going to cost money to do that, to make that change. And as I thought about it, I thought, well, you know, that's too bad. What you're asking for does not comply with the regulation. And so I don't know. I'm sort of conflicted here, because we did vote to support them. By the same token, they're not complying with the law.
Well, I don't think they're not complying with the law. I think they put in for, the federal standard is one standard, the state standard is another standard. And if I remember properly, the state standard is a higher leveled standard than the federal standard. And so they were looking for the lower level standard.
So, but I still think that, you know, that the doorway should be 48 inches wide. That's my own personal feeling as somebody who's been in a wheelchair and has tried to maneuver through a 36-inch door. It's hard.
Oh, I do not question that.
So, and then when I looked at their plan, and one plan said that they were going to have a door at the bottom by the stage at the that was going to be wide enough to get in.
Yep.
Another plan showed it wasn't. There was going to be no change to that door. So as I say, I'm conflicted by it, and I don't know. I'd like to see the state stand by their regulations at this point. Yes, it's going to cost them money to do that, but you know, that's.
Well, as you said, on that particular, on that particular issue, as you quite properly stated, we have voted on it. We have given them the authorization.
Yep.
However, this building is continuing to go under renovations, and they're going to probably need to come back to us multiple times. So we can always take a look at things each step of the way as they come to us. And Jeff, I'm glad you went to that virtual seminar. Or was it a blog or a seminar? I forget. It was a seminar. I'm glad you did go to that. Did they have any materials for you to download?
Yeah, they did. You know, there was so much of it that was really based on architects, as opposed to a layman like myself. That it was really meant for architects.
But it's something that you can fall back on. I mean, yes, you're a layman, but you're also a realtor. Both you and Linda are realtors, so you both understand at least the basics of a building architecture and how to describe them and understand them. Maybe not, and not to the same extent that the boring lawyer does, because I have nothing to do with architecture. But by doing it that way, and by doing that, if and when they come to us, we can then utilize you as the resource of the point person.
So all I have to say further is let's see where they get with the state, and it's going to be up to the state to say yay or nay.
Exactly. Exactly. Next, North Andover liquor licensing.
I saw that on there. And I thought, what does that have to do with us?
Okay.
Yeah, this looks interesting.
It turns out that when each community only has so many liquor licenses based upon whatever mathematical heebie-jeebies that the state puts together. So I guess part of North Andover's liquor licensing requirements is that the Commission on Ability Assistance is somehow supposed to write off on it. So I was getting inundated with emails and phone calls from 2 or 3 people. It turns out there were like 3 people vying for the same liquor license in town. And I'm getting inundated, and I won't even say what was going through my mind, because in closed doors among friends, tongue in cheek, but in a public setting where actual feelings could be hurt by other people, I will not say what was going through my mind. But I had to deal with this all weekend long. Finally, Monday came, and I contacted the town hall. I eventually got to town council, and town council was able to verify that we as a group have no legal ability to sign off on anything. That if it's a matter of whether or not the building is ADA compliant, then that has to fall on the building inspector. I'm not going to have us sign off on, if the building inspector wants us to come down and take a look and say, guys, I think it's good, but I'd like your opinion. Fine, but it's I guess a commercial property that's already put there. At least one of the 3 areas that that was contacting me. So it isn't even a brand new structure. It's a structure that's already existing as a commercial property that's just being re-rented for another purpose. So I wanted to put it out there because everybody's name is out there as part of the commission when you look at the town's website. Theoretically, anybody could reach out to any one of us regarding commission questions. So I wanted to put it out there. If anybody happens to knock on your door virtually or figuratively or anywhere in between about talking about liquor licensing in North Andover, feel free to just tell them that they should talk to town's council at the town hall, and that they can do that. Next is going to be a very quick one. Ability assistance. I got an email from Melissa Rodriguez this afternoon. The town charter has just opened, and she reached out to me. She knows we had voted on it previously, but I'm going to just put it out there, and then we'll take a vote on it next month just to dot all I's and cross all our T's. She is willing to work with us and make sure that the charter gets amended and put something forth at town meeting later at this town meeting, so that it'll be now the Commission on North Andover Commission on Ability Assistance versus the North Andover Commission on Disability Issues, also known as the Commission on Ability Assistance. So I heard from her, but she needs an official vote, and since it wasn't on the agenda, I'm just telling you that now, so that if for whatever reason you want to mull and ponder it before next month, we can do that then. And then Ability Assistance, the television program. We had talked about how we wanted to start doing some of these virtually. And I had asked everybody to come back with a list of a few nonprofits or government organizations that they'd like to try to see who we might be able to get on screen. I'll tell you the ones I've got, and then I'll add to it whoever you throw out there. Just to be able to put it on there. Sorry to steal your thunder, Linda. I put CPAC on there, North Andover CPAC. I also put on there the Merrimack Valley of ARC, the ARC chapter for Merrimack Valley. Deaf Inc., which actually is out of Lawrence. They're out of Boston as well, but they have a Lawrence office here. And the Massachusetts Association of the Deaf. Anybody have anything or anybody else to throw out there?
Oh, those would be interesting.
Yeah.
Do we want to try to see about getting one or two of our state legislators on to talk about any bills? Do we want to provide the invitation to anyone particular, or do you want me to send out an email to all 4 of our state legislators to see who bites?
I think that's the best idea.
Okay.
If you get 2 of them even, that would be even better, you know?
I mean, we know that all 4 of our people have worked tirelessly to be there for us. I mean, Senator Tarr helped us with the buttons in Lawrence, and you know, I follow it. I don't know if you folks do, but Senator DiZoglio is constantly liking our little things that we post on our Facebook page. Representative Demacucci, I'm going to butcher Christina's name. She's always there for us. She was always showing up last year to make sure that the kids got awards and everything. Well, you know, not this past school year, but the school year beforehand. You know, Trom's always also been a very strong supporter of ours. So I think no matter who we were to get on to talk, it would be a win-win, whether it be one of them or all 4 of them, or any a combination in between. We are now under a new Congress, a new Senate, and a new president. Do we want to see if we can try to get the congressman back on? Or Rick from his office?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm also wondering today, I don't know if you're familiar with ADDP. So we had a legislative forum today for all of the agencies that are involved, you know, regarding our budgets, and we're kind of pushing back a little bit. The budget that was released wasn't terrible for disability services, but some of the line items were moved around in a way that was not ideal. And granted, we have a little bit of time to push back. ADDP is working with the ARC of Massachusetts. Obviously, this has not gone through the House of Representatives yet, and so we're, you know, trying to push back a little. I'm wondering, one of the speakers, and this may be pie in the sky, but it probably can't hurt to ask, is Kay Khan.
Oh.
What do you think about asking her? She was really lovely. She did our introductory remarks for ADDP, not ours, but for, you know, ADDP. She is the chair of the Joint Committee on Children, Families, and Persons with Disability for the state. She seemed lovely. I'm sure she is an extremely busy person, but she covers like all the areas that we would be talking about as far as disability.
I'll look
or
and
somebody
see.
in our office.
Yeah, no, well, I'll look and see if any of our people sit on that committee, because that could be an easier way of getting her attention.
Yeah. However,
but if not, again, our people have been so supportive of us.
Yep.
If we wanted an introduction, I'm sure that they would introduce us, and then either she or somebody that she delegates appropriately could come on. The congressman's office has been very amicable to us in the past as well. Do we want to try to see, in lieu of the congressman, if we could get somebody from either Senator Warren or I'm blanking. Somebody hit me now. Or
Oh.
other.
I can see
Yeah,
it in
they
the
all
face.
are.
It's been a long day.
Oh my God, the former White House intern can't remember her own senator. How bad is this? I
Markey.
want to see Markey.
Yes.
Is it Mark?
Yeah,
Okay.
Ed Markey.
It
I
is
can
Mark.
see his
I
face.
could picture him, but I couldn't think of his name.
Oh my God.
It's okay. The hour is late.
People at American University are threatening to take my degree away from me now. What I'll do is I'll put it out there to see, like I'll reach out to Rick over at Congressman Moulton's office and see who his counterparts might be in both of the senators' offices and put it out there to just have somebody talk about what's sitting on Capitol Hill. No politics, because right now things are so politically charged.
Yeah.
Plus, that's not who and what we are. We have a new Congress with new bills being offered, just the same way we do on Beacon Hill with the new state legislature. What's on there, and how does it affect the population that we service, the population that's considered disabled?
How about Rick Gorman from the North Andover Youth?
What's that again?
Rick Gorman.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Recreational.
Yeah, North Andover Recreational Department.
Yep. Nope. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Is he actually?
I liked when we did the living with muscular dystrophy episode that we did with the mother and daughter that I had met through my networking. Now, if I can talk now, Stacy, how about if we were to find, other local people, maybe who've written a book or, talked about, who are willing to just talk about their journey and how they've, to just, I don't know,
How
maybe
about,
it's,
in addition to muscular dystrophy, how about multiple sclerosis? We run into more and more people that have MS, and some of them aren't affected by it very much at all. Others very much so. It would be great to have somebody talk about MS and challenges that MS people face. And just living with MS every day.
do we know anybody who has multiple sclerosis?
Yeah, I know several people that do.
Why don't you ask them if any of them would be comfortable being on camera on a television show talking about?
Well, I know one of the ones I know, he has MS bad enough so that he has a lot of trouble talking. So I know he probably wouldn't be comfortable. But I'm sure that if you reached out to the Massachusetts chapter of MS, that they would have ample people that would be willing to come on
to talk.
It's a lifelong disease. It's something that doesn't go away. Yeah, and unfortunately, there's no cure for it at this point. They are making progress, but no cure.
There's also a veterans collaborative for the Merrimack Valley that I was starting to get involved in, that I'm going to unfortunately have to pull away from because of other responsibilities. But I was wondering if perhaps, because their whole thing is to try to provide services to veterans. I know we've had Paralyzed Vets of America's New England chapter on, but what if we did it a little bit more locally and
Yeah.
Yeah.
tried to talk to them?
Yeah.
Trying to think who or what else.
I think that gives us a pretty good start for right now. I mean,
That does. What doesn't help is that last year was the way it was. So the typical conventions that I was going to, the Mass Office on Disability didn't even have their convention virtually last year because of everything. It's on the books for a full day event virtually in March, if I'm remembering properly. So I'll do that. But yeah, with everything that happened, all the
Yeah,
normal stuff that I go to, I mean, even the Abilities Expo
Yeah.
was all virtual. So it wasn't specific to our area, unfortunately. So
plus it all
hopefully,
depends on us being able to get back in the studio too.
actually, not necessarily, because where Stacy and I did the program back in June of last year,
Yeah.
Cam is still up for doing another program through Zoom. Every time I hear
Okay, all right, that's even better.
yeah,
Yeah.
or
We have some
Google Meets or
flexibility-
whatever it is they use.
flexibility to do it that way. And I think,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that might actually be an easier way to get a hold of some of our legislators because
Yes.
they have to travel and we've got them. I was actually thinking too, and I don't know if this is sort of pie in the sky or a little bit of longer term planning or if it would be appropriate for the commission. But if we're looking at some of these legislators and really trying to work with our families locally, I think advocacy is a huge concern. And I'm thinking again, budgetarily and making sure that families are aware of what's out there regarding how monies are allotted for services. And I don't even know if that's something we could do.
I don't know that we, I don't know that we can get involved in that because we report to the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
So we can put the information out there.
Yeah.
But if somebody wants to, for lack of a better term, lobby it,
Yeah.
they have to do that independently.
Okay.
Okay, it's not like
that's
when
what
we
I
were,
thought. I figured it couldn't hurt to just ask.
no, it's
I know where my mind is all the time.
no, and all of our minds
We
go
know how the
there.
services can be out there sometimes. So
Yeah, and there's a way we can lobby, like when we lobbied Senator Tarr to get the buttons installed in Lawrence because we had a North Andover resident who had problems being able to navigate those doors. Were we lobbying? Yeah. But
no, I know what you're saying.
it wasn't the same. So we can put all the information out there we want. That's government or nonprofit, where we're not taking a side on anything.
Oh yeah, no,
but when it comes to if it's funded properly or what have you, unless it's a matter of the town, there's a question of whether or not the town is funding something properly, then it's our duty to step up and say, we've seen this budget item, we're concerned that, and this is why, because that's part of our job is to advise the Board of Selectmen. So, but we can't start a coup. All right, so CPAC, which I still really do want to get on, and that's my fault. I dropped the ball on that when Zachary went into the hospital. The Merrimack Valley chapter of the Arc of Mass, Deaf Inc., which I have a little bit of an in there because they're the ones who I've been taking my ASL classes from for about a year now. The Mass State Association of the Deaf. Then we're going to send an email to all 4 of our legislators. Does everybody want me to include them on these emails that I send out, or
I would like
Stacey,
to.
Jeff? Linda?
Yeah.
Sure, yep.
Okay.
Can I throw one more in? And this
Yeah.
one I think is doable. I mean, I work for Bridgewell,
Yeah.
and we're a pretty decent sized organization, focusing obviously on individuals with cognitive and physical disability.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if somewhere down the line there may be, you know, I can get somebody from there to interview, because we have multiple services. And one nice thing, I mean, we do serve people who are in North Andover. I think one of our residences is local.
Mm-hmm.
And so that might be something, is interviewing people about the services that are out there, and how some agencies are multiple service agencies, and the geographic range that they have, so on and so forth, that there may be something there for disabilities.
Is Bridgewell nonprofit?
Yes.
Okay. Then that being said, I'd like to, I first still want to read her book, but there's a woman, an attorney, she does estate planning. She had to bury her daughter, unfortunately, due to disabilities. And she wrote a book, and I was thinking of, if after reading the book, if we can get her on to talk about it, to do that.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
And then I'm reading a great book, written by the guy who plays Sonny Corinthos on General Hospital, talking about depression, major depression. Jeff, stop laughing. It's an honest book about how lithium,
I'm not,
basically.
I'm laughing about General Hospital,
Hospital.
you know.
Okay, yes, I admit, I started reading the book because of my issues watching General Hospital since I've been 5 years old. I'll put that out there, okay? I live with it. But no, I'm wondering if perhaps maybe even if we, you know, to try to expand what we're doing, even if we had a quasi little book club where we read the book, and then we can get, you know, if it's a local enough person, get somebody on to talk about it, and
And that the
you know,
information is out there. What was the
Exactly.
comment about lithium? You were about to say something around that.
The quote of the book is how love and lithium saved my life both on and off of General Hospital.
Interesting.
Carly actually got that one for me.
Hey, Carly.
And she's going, you're welcome. But okay, great. All right, so that puts a decent list together of us to be able to, you know, it obviously, as we all know, it takes time. I mean, I'd love to be able to get 6 or 7 episodes in this year, but I think that's probably pie in the sky. If we probably got 5 episodes in this year, we'd probably be doing real well.
Yeah.
Given the state of the world.
Yeah.
And then just constantly set the ball rolling so that we don't fall into the problem we fell into and losing track of it.
Yep.
Because the Board of Selectmen was very proud of what we were doing prior to COVID.
Yeah.
They were very proud of what we'd done with the commission and how we had taken it everywhere. So I think that is, we'll just keep going with that. All right, looking at the calendar, we have our next meeting already on the calendar for the 3rd of March at 6:30 p.m. I think we actually booked it up through May,
I think
didn't
we
we?
went through to 2023, actually.
Nice try.
Nice try. You can make fun of me later.
I think
We
we're
also-
through May.
Yeah, April 7th. May 5th. And I think we decided we were not going to book into June at that point. So we'll hold off on June, not knowing yet what's going on. And maybe Jeff will be able to make fun of my issues regarding General Hospital in person before we break for the summer. So with that, I'm going to take a vote to suspend the meeting and to reconvene.
I have one more thing I would like to mention.
I'll go for it.
Are you all aware of the major remodeling that will be taking place over at Royal Crest?
Yes, I saw that. I didn't know. I actually reached out to Christina when I saw that, and I was very confused.
It has been before the planning board and the board of selectmen on a couple of occasions. It is going to be a major renovation for this town, with both townhouses, apartments, retail space, office space, open space, dormitories for Merrimack College. No, the idea was that the Royal Crest has really served its usefulness.
Okay.
It needs to be redone, and the current owners said, let's do it. And they have presented a really comprehensive plan for it. Susan showed me it tonight. The building's gorgeous. You know, I don't know if it's something that we want to take a look at as a committee, but I think we should be aware of the fact that they are in the development stage of this right now.
I signed up for their email list for the exact reason that you're talking about.
And I think that, yes, we should make sure that there are certainly enough units over there that would accommodate people that we're responsible for.
I'd also want to see if it's a mixed-use facility where from what I saw, there was like almost a quasi downtown sort of a feel to it as well.
Yeah.
It's going to be brand new construction. So I want to make sure that all the sidewalks have the proper, the
Right.
plastic bubbling at the end of the sidewalk and the beeping for the alarm for the walkway. And I want to see all of that.
So I think
because if they're going to do it brand new, do it right the first time.
Yeah, that should be on our scope for, the future. They're certainly only in the planning stage at this point. They've got a long way to go, but it looks great. The plan was beautifully done. I'd be happy to forward the email that Susan sent me to any of you that would like to look at it.
Is Susan going to be keeping her eyes on it?
Only, because it's a new development in town, and it certainly is going to help open up the housing stock within the community.
The reason why I ask is it might be easier to help you keep your eyes on it, and you can report back to us.
Okay, all right.
You like how you walked right into that?
Right.
No, but I'm glad you brought that up.
Jeff, I would be interested though. If you could send them to me, I would love that. Thank
Will
you.
do.
Yeah, send it to all of us and we can all try to keep our eyes on it and see where it goes. But
Okay.
for the exact reason, if they're going to be gutting and starting out from scratch, let them do it properly the first time.
No, it's an interesting project because it is a gateway coming in off of 125, and that's going to be one of the first things that people coming into this community are going to see.
Yep.
So it's going to be quite a project.
Well, maybe they can make it work. That would be fantastic. The other thing I was going to bring up, as I had mentioned at the beginning, I did reach out to Dawn. I did reach out to Nancy. I provided Don with the link information. He also reached out to me via email. So I responded back to that email with the same information. And I called Nancy. And I'm going to say the same thing to you guys that I said to Nancy. If for whatever reason you're having problems, you're having issues. I mean, it's easy to just very easily communicate via email, but things happen. So if you ever have a problem, please don't hesitate to call me, let me know, text me. Because Nancy was telling me she was concerned that she was going to have to step off the commission because she hadn't been able to make meetings. And I explained to her that, well, it's kind of hard to come to a meeting if you haven't necessarily been given all the appropriate information. So what I'm going to try to remember, and if somebody wants to be a second set of brains for me, just to remind myself, is when we get everything regarding the call-in information, to call Nancy and Don already gets the email. I looked on the email string. Don gets the email. Whether or not he saw it or understood it, I don't know, but he does get the email. Nancy doesn't have email, so we need to be a little bit more, or I need to be a little bit more sensitive to remember that she's not at that point electronically as we are. If there's anything else, did I forget anything?
Nope.
Okay. So if there's anything else, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. I'm going to just call out your names individually. Linda?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Stacy?
Aye.
And I'll add my aye to it. So hearing no objection, we're going to close out this month's meeting and see you all next month.